All right, welcome to Indie Media on Air. I'm Chris Burnett, and tonight we have a special show. We're going to be talking about the Solidarity Fest that's happening on Sunday, June 28th. That's actually in 6 days from now. And what's going to be happening is an event with bands and speakers. It's a Solidarity Fest that is hosted and sponsored by Riot Grrrl Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Anarchist Black Cross, and North American Animal Liberation Press Office. In studio tonight, I have three guests to talk about the event, and one on the phone. And I want to introduce them real quick, and then we're going to go to our first guest is Jay Lee. He is a longtime organizer in the anarchist punk movement and is responsible for organizing this weekend Solidarity Fest. We also have in studio Marty, is a longtime activist and educator who is involved in feminist, animal rights, environmentalism, the Panthers, and LGBTQ causes, and organizations in the 90s. We also have Kwaku Duren, is a former Panther from the 70s who worked with Elaine Brown and reorganized the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party in 1976. He was a former chairman of the New Panther Vanguard movement in 1992 in response to the 92 rebellion. He is a graduate of the People's College of Law and has been practicing with a community-based law practice for 22 years and co-founder of CAPA, Coalition Against Police Abuse, in 1975. And finally, Michael McCarty, who joined the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party in 1968. He was on the education cadre, teaching political education classes. After leaving the Black Panther Party in 1970, he was approached by the FBI to rejoin and be an informer. When he refused, they tried to destroy his life, but he flipped the script on them and recovered. In the 1980s, Michael was an acupuncturist specializing in drug detox. Since 1992, he's been a professional storyteller, and since September 2014, he's been teaching the art of storytelling to inmates in the Central Valley. Now, our first guest is Jay Lee, who's going to sort of kick us off and tell us what this event is about. Jay Lee, welcome to the show. You there?
Oh, yes. Thank you for inviting all of us. I'll try to make this short as possible, and then I'll pass it to everyone. The Solidarity Fest is happening due to this year, one of my old friend and comrade, Sharif Abdullah, passed away. It's a tribute show to the Southern California Black Panther Party. So a lot of the punk rockers, anarchists, and activists were getting together. It's also for Elder Freeman, also known as Ronald Freeman, and Wayne Farr, and Roland Freeman. If you have not heard of Wayne or Roland or Elder, you could check out a documentary film called 41st and Central, The Untold Story of the LA Panthers. Also, Wayne Farr has a book out called The 9 Lives of the Black Panther Party, A Story of Survival. Now, the reason Solidarity Festival started is I was at my, a long time ago, like 20-something years ago, I was at my friend Trisha's house, and I was going through some of the old books from the late 60s to the 70s, and these were all like radical student books and feminist and Panther books, and it was really inspiring it. And there was a book by Huey P. Newton called To Die for the People. In that book, he talks about supporting the women's liberation movement and the gay liberation movement. And understand, this was written in the 70s, and it blew my mind. And then from there, I started studying more about the Panthers, who also started the Rainbow Coalition. What really inspired me to work with the Panther was people just picture Panther with leather jackets and guns. But a lot of people do not know about the free health clinic, the community organizing, the free food program, and People's Free Ambulance Service newspaper. They also had a newspaper which was covering the whole international struggle about the ending the war in Vietnam, and also talking about the Palestinians. And this was like the rare newspaper, all this stuff. We checked it out. So we worked with Sharif. This is like 20 years ago with the New Panther Vanguard movement. At that time, I was living in Orange County. And at that time, Quaker had a headquarters up there in South Central LA. And we would drive up there almost weekly, nonstop. Me and my friends will to go to their weekly group study, open discussion, and also Kwaku and Sharif let us hold like numerous event and fundraiser there, all kinds of stuff. And we even have punk rock bands playing there, and also like it was a lot of stuff that was going on. And we didn't just organize events with the New Panther Vanguard movement. It was not just getting speakers and stuff. They would also come down, and I would ask Sharif for security and soldiers. They would help out. And me and my old friend, Panther and Taco, at that time, we would go to like different anti-vivisection rallies. We would get up early in the morning, go to different college campuses, and so turning the Tide newspaper to help raise money. And they would also come down to my apartment. Quaker came down, and like different groups, individuals would come down. At that time, we had a study group in Orange County called Students Revolutionary Awareness. In that small apartment, there was about 40 to 50 people. We had study group, and Quaker did a workshop there as well. Not only that, we did street protests and everything like that. So that's how everything started with the Solidarity Festival. It happened in Orange County, LA, all the way to Ventura, and also Contravene organizing in Arizona and stuff. I can't even count how many Solidarity Festivals there's been. So I'll pass it to other folks now.
All right, Jay, thank you for that. And I do want to point out just the details up front so that people will know what we're talking about. That's this Sunday, June 28th, from 4 to 9 p.m. So at 4 p.m., the admission is free. So come on down. It's located at Cielo Galleries, located at 3201 Maple Avenue in Los Angeles, zip code 90011. That's 3201 Maple Avenue in LA at Cielo Gallery. So check that out this Sunday at 4 p.m. It's free. It's going to be an amazing event. There's a bunch of bands that have been confirmed: Resist and Exist, Iconoclast, Dreamer, Black, and Zaki, if I'm pronouncing this correctly.
Really quick about Zaki. Just found out he's in the hospital. He's going to be in the hospital for a while, so I wish him all the best, but he won't be performing there.
Okay. Violent Vicky, Moon Bandits, and if I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but Kuatel Se, forgive me if I pronounce that wrong, Trap Girl, and Sunny War. So there's a bunch of bands, there's speakers, it's emceed by Madarvi. And we're going to jump into more about this event with my guest in studio, and I'd like to start off with Marty, who has been involved, as I said earlier, in a lot of feminist, animal rights, and environmentalism movements. So, what's your take on this event? Why are you involved, and what would you say to people to get them to come down? Tell us about it.
Well, this is a nod to the work we did in the 90s at Coos Cafe. It was a coffee shop / community center where you hear music, poetry, hear about various causes, outreach. There were shows for all ages, and this is something similar to what we used to do back then, giving workshops and classes, and there were zines, and so, yeah.
I mean, why was that? What do you think that brought out into the community, and what kind of long-lasting effects do you think it had in terms of your organizing?
Definitely woke people up. Especially where Coos was. It was in Orange County and super right-wing conservative down there. Yeah. And then there was this space where punk rock and hip-hop and just, consciousness. Yeah. It was an amazing space, and we're bringing it back.
Right on. Kwaku, why don't we get your perspective on this event and tell, you've been involved in the Panther movement for a very long time in community-based organizing. What would you add to this conversation and this event?
Well, I think Jay basically said it all, summed it up. We've had the death of 4 comrades in the past year, so this is sort of a commemoration and celebration of their life and their struggle in the Black Panther Party. And we want people to remember the Black Panther Party because we think that the Black Panther Party made a tremendous contribution in terms of moving the movement in America forward, and also with its international contacts and influence around the world. People related to the struggle of the Panthers and saw it as a model to follow. We think that spirit needs to be upheld and remembered. Mm-hmm. And this event is an activity in that direction.
Can we talk a little bit about the people who passed away and who?
Ronald and Roland, they were brothers. They passed almost together. Roland went to New York to actually pick up the ashes of Roland actually went to New York to pick up the ashes of Ronald and had a heart attack in the airport. These brothers were very long in their commitment to the struggle and the need to unify the community and to keep revolutionary consciousness alive. in the community, particularly in the black community, but not exclusively black community, because when the Panther Party emerged, it was about power to the people and power to all people, and that's a message that we need to remember, because it helps to unite us and make us understand that we really have one struggle, and we should be very conscious that it takes the people as a whole to really make changes. Wayne Farr was another member of the original Black Panther Party here in L.A., and was looked up because of his understanding of revolutionary theory and his practice as a member of the Black Panther Party. Sharif was a very close friend of mine. I met Sharif when he was like 17. He joined with us in reorganizing the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party, and we've been together since then in different organizing activities, including Coalition Against Police Abuse, the New Panther Vanguard Movement, originally the New African American Vanguard Movement, and we renamed it the New Panther Vanguard Movement because during the early 90s there was a resurgence of groups who were attempting to put forward the organizing model of the Black Panther Party, principally in Texas, New York, and several other locations throughout the country. So we attempted to pull together national summits, try to unify that movement. Weren't successful, but we did make contact with groups and maintain communications for a number of years. So these brothers, made individually and collectively a tremendous contribution to the struggle of African people and people struggling in general. And this event, again, is about commemorating their lives and their struggle within the Black Panther Party.
Michael, I'd like to hear your thoughts, and based on some of the comments that have been said, and based on the question I asked earlier about your feelings about the event and what you'd like to impart to people who come.
There is a statement made by a griot from West Africa that when an elder dies, it's like a library is lost. And we've lost 4 libraries because each of these individuals had their stories. And just the other day I was talking with somebody about something that happened, and there was some LA Panthers involved, and I was like, oh man, if Roland was here, I could ask him because he would know. If he didn't know, he would know who knew. And you have to keep the stories alive. You have to keep the memories alive. There's another statement in the griot tradition, the tradition of the storytellers, the history keepers of Africa. As long as we tell the stories of our loved ones, of the people important in their lives, as long as we tell their stories, no one is ever truly dead. So by honoring them, by remembering them, by telling our stories about them, we keep their memory alive. And I also wanted to address something that you were talking about, the influence of the party. Last year, one of my storytelling friends went to Peru to do some storytelling there. And he had contacted an organization of Afro-Peruvians. And because he was coming there, and he does that whenever he goes to a South American country. And they said to him, can you get us some information about the Black Panther Party? All right. And I hooked him up. When I was in Australia and New Zealand a few years ago, I come to find out how the party had influenced the Maori and the Aborigines. And you find this to this day all over the world. And we have to keep the stories alive, and we have to tell the story because so many people who don't know the story. And I'll tell you one more little quote from the griot tradition that I put a little twist on. Until the panther tells his story, only the hunter's story will be glorified. Oh, yeah.
Right on. So here's a question for all of you. If you had to think about organizing today, young people organizing, and based on your experience, your collective experience and your knowledge, what would be some of the messages you want to share with them? Obviously, not trying to take over their movements or direct them, but what kind of information, what would you say to young people organizing today? I mean, obviously there's a lot to be organized around, from austerity and neoliberalism and Black Lives Matter and the racist police that are killing people left and right in this country, which they have been forever, except now they're getting caught on videotape. Mm-hmm. In this context, from that perspective, what would you have to say? And maybe start over here, and then we'll go back to you, Marty.
Well, Huey Newton, who was a genius in himself, a little bit crazy, but still a genius nonetheless, said power is the ability to define phenomena and to make it act in the desired manner.
Yes.
That is a very scientific, simple definition of power. I think we need to teach that to people, because that is power. Power is the ability to define first the phenomena and to make that phenomena act in the desired manner. And when we apply that in the social political context, that means that if we want to change the social, economic, political, cultural system, we need to define it. The party had its definition based on its analysis of the system, and I think we should teach people that we're dealing really with a global system. After the Roman Empire, the American Empire is probably the successor of the Roman Empire. Nor the nation, quote, quote, has grown and enveloped the world, so to speak, other than the American Empire. This truly is an American Empire. And we have to define the phenomena we're working with, and it is an empire. So we got to understand the need to unify the people globally, not just here in this one so-called nation, right? Because we're really dealing with a phenomena that is greater than the national boundaries of the USA. Mm-hmm. We begin there to define that phenomena so we can be able to make it act in the desired manner, and our desired manner is to dismantle it by any means necessary.
Absolutely. Marty?
Well, I would say no single issue activism. Back then, we didn't really have the word yet, but we have it now, intersectionality. So these different causes are all connected. We have the one thing in common, all experience some sort of oppression. And Huey Newton was a genius, as you were saying. And in 1970, he wrote an article in the Black Panther newsletter, a letter from Huey Newton to the revolutionary brothers and sisters about the women's liberation and gay liberation movements. And this was genius, especially considering this was 1970. So I have some excerpts to share from that article. Okay, so this is from the article. During the past few years, strong movements have developed among women and among homosexuals seeking their liberation. There has been some uncertainty about how to relate to these movements. Whatever your personal opinions and your insecurities about homosexuality and the various liberation movements among homosexuals and women, and I speak of the homosexuals and women as oppressed groups, we should try to unite with them in a revolutionary fashion. We must gain security in ourselves and therefore have respect and feelings for all oppressed people. I do not remember our ever constituting any value that said that a revolutionary must say offensive things towards homosexuals, or that a revolutionary should make sure that women do not speak out about their own particular kind of oppression. There is nothing to say that a homosexual cannot also be a revolutionary. Maybe a homosexual could be the most revolutionary. He said that, yeah.
He did.
When we have revolutionary conferences, rallies, and demonstrations, there should be full participation of the gay liberation movement and the women's liberation movement. The Women's Liberation Front and Gay Liberation Front are our friends. They are are potential allies, and we need as many allies as possible.
Right on.
Yep. We should be willing to discuss the insecurities that many people have about homosexuality. When I say insecurities, I mean the fear that they are some kind of threat to our manhood. We should be careful about using those terms that might turn our friends off. We should not attach names, normally designated for homosexuals, to men who are enemies of the people, such as Nixon or Mitchell. Homosexuals are not enemies of the people. We should try to form a working coalition with the gay liberation and women's liberation groups. We must always handle social forces in the most appropriate manner. So yeah, this was from 1970.
Yes.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to remind listeners that I am talking with Michael McCarty, Kwaku Duran, and Marty in studio. We had Jay Lee on earlier. We're talking about an event this Sunday, June 28th at 4 o'clock called the Solidarity Fest. And it is free and is located at Cielo Galleries and Studios. It is at 3201 Maple Avenue in Los Angeles, and the zip is 90011. Continuing on this topic, Michael, I'd like you to address this question as well.
No one is free while others are oppressed. That's one of the many bumper stickers I have on my car. If you see a car with a few hundred bumper stickers on it, it's probably me. And that was also one of the great strengths of the Black Panther Party, was the ability to see beyond the things that cause division and to help people to see the commonality of our struggle, to look past the artificial barriers of race. Okay, wait, I got to tell the story. Okay. I love this story. It's going to be quick. The Rainbow Coalition, it was not Jesse Jackson. It was Fred Hampton and the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party to start the Rainbow Coalition. One of the elements of the Rainbow Coalition was the young patriots, hillbillies. They had little Confederate flags on their berets. And Bob Lee, our field marshal, went to give a talk to them. You can see it in American Revolution 2. And after the talk, the director, Mike, I can't remember Mike's last name, said to one of these older hillbillies, what do you think about what he's had to say about working together? Because he was talking about, y'all fighting with rats and roaches, so are we. You got bad housing, so do we. And that hillbilly said, well, if them Black Panthers going to support us, I guess we should support them Black Panthers. And a couple of weeks later, Bob and Hank, another Panther, were in the area organizing. They were stopped by the police. They were handcuffed and put in a police car. The young patriots found out, and them hillbillies surrounded that police car and made them let them go. So organize, see beyond the differences, and beware crazy. All right. If you got somebody who says we should go out and shoot everyone, run. All right. You have idiots. You have your William O'Neills, your crazy people who trying to get you into trouble. Read, learn about things. Read as much as you can. I mentioned that book, the burglary, about the people who broke into the FBI office. Read that, and if you want a leader, look in the mirror.
Right on, right on. We've got about 3 minutes left, maybe 2.5. So I'd like to give everybody a chance to say some final comments. Maybe take about a minute, and then we're gonna have to end the show. So let's go around the table again, and Kwaku, some final thoughts about what we've been talking about and this event this Sunday, and maybe convince some people to come out.
Well, I think again it's important that we seize the time to let people know that we have one struggle, that we must struggle against those who try to divide us, and we must be focused in our efforts to, one, define the problem, and to figure out what solution best fits that problem.
Right on.
Hey, I'd
Marty.
like to, yes. It's not somebody else's struggle. It's our struggle. If somebody else has a struggle, we're all in it together. Also at the show, we're going to have a screening of Lost Girls, a documentary about the riot girl movement in L.A. in the 90s by Vega Darling. So please come through for that as well.
Say a couple words about Riot Girl, what for people who might not know what it is.
Definitely the feminist movement for sure. In the 90s, it was a really big time for women coming out in music, and people were fed up. Women were fed up with being on the sidelines, and so it came out in music, it came out in activism, and that was also definitely there at Coos Cafe, Lucid Nation, and a lot of bands and.
Yeah, like a feminist pushback within punk rock and organizing.
Yes.
All right. And Michael?
There are lots of quotes from Fred. People know that if you can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill revolution. Here's one that I love. If you walk through life and don't help anybody, you haven't had much of a life. That's Fred Hampton.
Beautiful quote. It's a great place to end the show. I want to thank all of you for coming in the studio and talking about this event this Sunday. That's Michael McCarty, Kwaku Duran, and Marty, and of course Jay Lee at the top. Please go to this event. It's Sunday, June 28th, 4 o'clock. It's free. Cielo Galleries, 3201 Maple Avenue in LA. 90011 is the zip code. Bunch of bands, a bunch of people, amazing people are going to be there. It's going to be a fantastic event.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Teach one.
All right. And thank you for listening. This is Indie Media On Air. I'm Chris Burnett, and we'll be back next week with some Chilean anarchists talking about their tour around the United States. All right.
Yo, this is Immortal Technique. Right now you're listening to KPFK 90.7 Los Angeles. Revolutionary commentary. You know what it is. KPFK, bringing you the realness. Peace. Harlem streets stay flooded in white powder.
Join us on Sojourner Truth every Tuesday to Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Tune in for weekly roundtables, special series, in-depth interviews, open phones, guest hosts, youth-produced stories, our special commentary teams, and more. Our coverage is local, national, and international. Check us out and tell everyone you know to tune in. Sojourner Truth every Tuesday to Friday, 7 a.m. for fearless drive time radio on KPFK. Follow Sojourner Truth on Twitter at SoTrueKPFK. This is your host, Margaret Prescott.